Indian girl started working at the prison, and everybody trying to get her attention. She would come in our unit, and I looked out the window. My dad said, "Who is it?" I said, "It's a girl." My daddy got up and looked. I said, "I'm gonna get her." He said, "Man, you ain't gonna get her." I said, "Watch and see. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna get her." 2-3 weeks, I don't say nothing to her when she first at all. I don't go talk to her. I don't look at her. Nothing. When she come around, I go in the cell. I get out of work one day, and I'm going to get some ice. And as I'm walking to get the ice, she was like, hey, you. And I just kind of looked at her, and she was like, "Yeah, you." She was like, "Why you don't never come out? You don't never come talk to me?" I said, "Ain't nothing worth coming out here looking at." I said, and I kept walking. And as I go and get the ice, I walking back, and now she done got out of the chair, and she's standing like in front of the cage. She was like, who's your cellie?" And I was like, she was like, "Y'all got the same name." I was like, "That's my daddy." And she was like, "Really? How?" She in her eyes, at this point, you don't become very manipulative on top of already learning how to be manipulative. The look in her eye she was intrigued. It was something different other than, and it was, you in the cell with your daddy. So she started asking questions. So then we started talking 2-3 weeks. I go to the shower. She come and stand by the shower, watching me, looking me up and down, all this old type of stuff. I would put the Muslim oil on, smelling good. She asked me where I get the Muslim oil. I'm cooking stuff. She asked me about the meals. I'm explaining stuff. Like you could tell she intrigued about all of this stuff. Then she started asking about my daddy. She was like, "Your dad never speaks to me. Like he'll look." And I was like, "Yeah, he's convict. Dad had been locked up 30-some years. 30 years? Like how?" She was asking me how old I was. "How old was you?" And she was just, and so one day I walked up to her. My daddy don't know this. We got a cell phone, but we don't keep it in the cell. We never keep it in the cell. I write the number down and I go downstairs and I tell her, I say, "Look, what I'm about to say, you just let it go in one ear and out the other if you don't like what I say." She was like, "Okay, what is it?" I said, "What if it was a way we can talk outside of here?" She was like, "What you mean?" I said, "You know exactly what I mean." I said, "Remember what I said at first." I said, "If you catch what I'm saying and you don't like it, let's just act like we never had this conversation." She was just kind of looking like she wanted to answer, but she wasn't sure if I was trying to set her up. I said, "Don't say nothing." I said, "In the staff bathroom, because that's where our toilet paper was at, we can go in there and get toilet paper." I said, "I went in there to get toilet paper." I said, "I taped a piece of paper under the sink in the staff bathroom." I said, "I'm going to walk off." I said, "I ain't going to talk to you the rest of the day." I said, "You go in there, you get that piece of tape." I said, "You can hit me blocked." And she was like, and I walked off. So I go in the cell. I said, "Hey, Dad," I said, "I'm going to keep the phone in the cell." He said, "And if they come in here and get your phone, you know you're going to take their charge." I said, "You got 2 life sentences. I ain't taking no charges. You taking all the charges." So he was like, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah." I said, we gonna keep. I said, "I'm gonna keep the phone." And I said, He said, "We ain't gonna do that no more." I said, "All right, cool. So we keep the phone. They doing lockdown. She closing the door. Doom. And he was like, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." She come to the door, opens our door, and do me like this, and winks and close the door. Soon as she closed the door, my daddy stands straight up. "What the hell was that?"
All right.
"I don't know." I think she liked me. He said, "Boy, don't you have them police brothers?" I said, "Man, we good." He said, "All right." I still didn't tell him why I was keeping the phone. I wait till she leave. I'm looking at the back window. She kind of waves as she leaving. It don't air all the inmates on the back window waving, so you don't know who she waving at. But to me, she waving me. I know she got the number. So she get to the parking lot, and I'm thinking she getting out. I'm waiting. It's about 30 minutes. I said, "Hey, Dad," I said, "I'm gonna tell you something." He said, "What's up?" I said, "Look, man, I gave her the number." He said, Do what?" He stand up again. He said, "What you say?" I said, I gave her the number. She gonna call me block." I said, "I told you I was gonna get her." He said, go on, pack your stuff up, boo. Go on, get your stuff. Go on, pack your stuff up." I said, "For what?" He said, "If they call that phone, it won't be to talk to you. It'll be to verify that phone is in here.
Right.
And when they verify it's in here, they gonna come in here. They gonna get it. And you gonna say it's yours. and you gonna you gonna go to the hole. When you get out, I get you back down here, but you go in the hole tonight. I said, I don't believe that. He said, all right, well, see what I tell you. I said, I told you I was gonna get her. So we sitting there, he was like, she ain't called yet? I said, no. By that time, I got the phone under the pillow where I can see it. It light up, it's blocked. He see it because the crack of his bed, he see the light. He stand up. Go answer it. I said, he said, that's the green team. He said, I promise you, soon as you say hello, they gonna run in there. I said, I don't believe. He said, well, go on answer then. I don't answer it. She called back again for about 5 minutes. Block. I answered.